of all the men you've dated, do you prefer if they make the first move?
I would like so, but it's not always that way.
It's not always that, but like you said, you've been in like 10 situationships or something, maybe a dozen or whatever it was. The past 6 years you've been single. Who typically initiates when it comes to any of the romantic prospects that you have?
Usually the guy.
Usually the guy. Have you ever asked a guy out?
I don't know.
Yeah, and of all the first dates you've been on, say in the past 6 years, who I understand that you're willing to pay for first dates, but who actually ends up paying for the first date typically?
A man, but I've paid for myself before.
On
a first date.
You've done it before, but of all the first dates you've been on, what percentage would you assign to it?
Almost, like
99%.
Probably
okay,
like 99. Yeah.
Okay, so even though you're kind of okay. And then what's the other thing? Oh, you do want to get married, though. You said, do you you want the guy to propose? I'm assuming.
Yes.
You want him to get a ring?
Yes.
And would you be upset if the ring was like a cubic zirconia off of Amazon, or would you want him to spend like a decent amount on the ring?
Decent amount.
Like a nice ring, right?
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
And then would you want him to get down on one knee to propose to you?
Yes.
Hold on a second here. So just to be clear, so you want a guy to get down on one knee and then propose to you and then spend the money on the ring, give it, et cetera, et cetera. And would you want it to be kind of the proposal to be romantic?
Yeah.
Like you don't want him to just, where's the fucking ring? Hold on.
Oh, he has a ring.
Where's the fucking ring? Here's a fucking ring.
Of course not, no.
You don't want the guy to just be like, there's the ring. There you go, babe. Put it on. We're married now, or we're engaged now. No, right? You'd want... Okay. Why the fuck should a guy do that? Like, why? You won't take his last name.
I see what you're saying. I mean, I said I was willing to do the hyphen.
No. He insists. He's like, babe, I'm a traditional old school guy, and my old school traditional beliefs dictate that you need to take my last name.
So I think that's not I wouldn't say yes.
Just so you...
Wait.
I'm sorry. I think at that point, we wouldn't get to that point. We're not compatible. We're not, it's not going to,
What do you mean?
To be,
Everything else, let's just grant that everything else besides that, you're compatible on, and this is a perfect dude. And
but
he's got like
a deal breaker.
He's got a fucking hammer in the pants. He's a billionaire, and he's really good looking, and he's also like going to put your music career to the moon. You won't take his last name? I'll compromise on some of my shit for the perfect woman. I'll compromise on my shit because, bro, the perfect woman is rare. So you won't even do the traditional thing that like billions of people have already done.
Right.
You won't do the thing. I'll compromise.
I still feel like personally I would want to keep my last name, regardless of the situation.
Wait. You would hyphenate the last name.
I'd be open to compromise, yes.
Why can't he hyphenate the diamond and get you a pseudo diamond? That's just a hyphenated real diamond.
It's crazy, bruv. It's crazy, man.
Like, why does he have to get anything that's legit and real or do anything that's traditional if like everything from your view is like half in, half out? It's just an uneven, right? Would you at least concede that it's just a uneven exchange?
I think what I'm kind of confused on is the importance behind taking a last name. Why is it so important?
It's old school and traditional.
What about it is demeaning to you to take the name? Like, what do you not like about that?
She's a feminist. She can't do it.
I never said. I didn't say
hurts.
it's because of feminism. I'm sure there's feminists that would take the last name.
Probably, sure.
Yeah.
But what if like the last name's like really shitty?
Yeah.
What if the last name's like
It
super
doesn't
shitty?
matter.
Like Gilbert
shitty?
Like
If
I
you're,
don't think that
it doesn't matter. If you're a
Gilbert Shitty?
I'll answer your question. If you're a trad woman and you want a trad guy and he's got the dumbest fucking last name ever, it's fucking Dingleberry, you're taking his last name.
Well,
I don't give a fuck you're taking that name.
I'm just saying, like, okay, I'm gonna be real with you. If I was
real.
if
Tell
I
us
was
about-
if I was engaged with a guy and we got to that point and he's perfect, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm taking his last name.
Wow,
but if his last name,
what a sacrifice! You guys are so.
I'm not
you'll do
saying
the
it like
thing
it's a sacrifice. I'm just saying that I would. Like, it wouldn't be hard. But if it
I don't
like
even get
fucking
that shit,
sucks,
bro.
if literally his last name fucking sucks, I don't know. Like, let's say this was a last name, Gilbert. Like, I would never be with a guy named Gilbert, specifically Gilbert.
You seem like a girl who would date a Gilbert.
I would not date a fucking Gilbert.
give
You will
me-
never.
I think
no,
you
stop,
attract
stop, stop,
Gilbert.
stop.
You give me-
You will never catch me getting fucked by a guy and yelling Gilbert. I'm sorry.
I could see that happening, actually.
Gilbert!
You give me kind of I date dudes named Gilbert or Bartholomew vibes.
I mean, Bartholomew's kind of dope,
You would
but
definitely-
Gilbert, no.
okay.
Like, I'm sorry.
But so hold on. Going back to this, right? So, okay. The guy's a trillion. The guy's the most handsome Italian ever. He's a trillionaire. There's no trillion. Well, maybe there's
You just
trillionaires,
really want me
but
to say yes.
He
Don't
makes bad
but
choices.
trillionaire, dude.
really
I'll
want me
do
to say
some
yes.
borderline weird shit for if I could marry a woman who's a trillionaire. I would do some borderline weird shit to make that happen. Okay, you wouldn't change your last name for a trillionaire? Hello.
You just really want me to say yes.
No, look, if it's a genuine, not even for a trillionaire, not even like 1,000-year dynasty fucking money, you won't look if the answer is genuinely, nah, I'm gonna keep my last name. Say it.
If it doesn't affect my career, what I've built so far,
You're dating a trillionaire, dog. Your career is over, son. You don't need to work. You got like a staff, son. You got a staff
But
of
I
like
want to.
hundreds of people.
I want to continue.
Wait, but
what
okay,
I do is a
here's
passion.
wait. Here's the condition. Here's another condition. Well, I'm adding. Okay, the sole condition is you got to change your last name, but you get a trillionaire, and he's like a great guy and Italian or whatever the fuck. Do you do it? Bro, you're. I'm sorry, you're cooked.
Wait,
I'm sorry, you're cooked. But hold on.
I'm thinking.
Let me ask another. Oh, okay. Keep thinking. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Would you, if you're,
Wait. Let's let her. We gotta let her think, Jim Bob. Let her think. Go ahead. Whenever
You're
you're
bringing
ready.
up good points. I would say if all of the points you mentioned, I would be open to it.
Oh, it's
I just,
open.
but
Oh my
open
God,
to it,
bro.
yes. But I wouldn't be jumping the gun for it.
Bro, if somebody comes up to me and is like, Brian, she's beautiful and perfect and blah, 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 and she's a trillionaire. Wait, what would the reverse be? I have to fuck it, I'll hyphenate. Fuck it, why not? It's instant. But I'm just asking you to do the traditional thing. Who thinks about this shit? Who thinks about it? What's there to think about?
Because I think the reason why I'm hesitant is because I feel like you're wanting me to say something. You're making a lot of exceptions.
Here, let me ask you a question.
It's not always
if I could hand you a billion...
Am I going to meet like a trillionaire like every other like guy? Like that's a very small percentage
It
of
doesn't
ever
exist.
happening. You
Doesn't
know?
even
like,
exist. As far as I mean, maybe there's like some people who aren't on the books or whatever.
Like I doubt that the situation, that specific situation you're talking
No,
about,
this is a
ever gonna-
hypothetical.
No, okay.
So I'm in the hypothetical. You get the perfect trillionaire guy,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to change your last name. Do you do it?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
would you,
Don't even-
I wanted to ask you, would you, if your father asked you to change your last name to your mother's maiden name, would you do that?
Why would that? Why would that happen?
No,
That's
it's not. The
common.
question isn't why would it happen, but if for some weird reason he just wished it, he was like, "I want you to change your last name to your mother's last name." Would you like hold on to the tradition of carrying your father's last name?
I think, yeah, of course. I'm 28 years of my identity is behind Vargas. Like, why would I just completely
Interesting.
change it over to my mom's maiden name?
Well, that's interesting. So, like, you're holding on to something that's actually traditional. The very thing that you're defending would be the thing that that the future husband is actually asking you to do. So, like,
I
you're
see what
saying,
you're
you're saying
saying.
like the tradition of man's name. I'm gonna hold, like, I love that tradition, but part of the tradition of the man's name is that it actually changes the daughter's name in the future. So your future kids. Imagine a future you going, I'm so glad mommy took daddy's last name. Right?
I see what you're saying.
I got a question. Got a question for you. So, okay, let's make it about your career. You get the perfect guy. He'll never cheat on you. He'll never leave you. Trillionaire. But he asks, I don't want you to do your career, and that's the condition for you being with him. You have to give up your career. You can still privately, you can't do anything public facing with music, but privately, if it's a passion of yours, you can like make dope beats in your bedroom or like multiple bedrooms because you're a trillionaire now. Would you be willing to give up your career ambitions for a perfect trillionaire?
Absolutely not.
But wait.
No.
A couple
And
follow-up
that's a
questions
no.
here.
That's like a no with a period.
Your career, to what end is the purpose of your career?
To connect, to have a message and connect with others. Music is healing, and I put that into my music all the time, and I connect through.
Is all
people
music
with that.
healing?
No,
Like,
no.
you know, Kanye
Music
West,
is
like, what he's
everything.
saying,
Music
like
is
the-
anger, happiness, joy,
is-
sadness. But to me,
Never
it's
mind.
healing.
I'm going to assume something right now. I could be wrong. I think you want credit because here's the thing. Let's say Brian's hypothetical. You have a mansion, he builds you a studio, and you create all this music. It's just that people don't know who you are, but they love your music. It's changing people. Everything you imagine from your music is happening, but they just don't know your face, your name. Yeah, you don't want that because
No.
you want the credit.
That was,
Yeah,
wait, I
that's what it
want,
is.
Jim Bob, that was a really good question. Can you just state it once more?
So the question is, if the man gives her a mansion and a sick ass basement studio, she pumps out the music she loves because now she has the time to do it. She doesn't have to worry about anything else, right? It's funded.
But she uses like a pseudonym.
A pseudonym,
stage
a
name.
moniker. She's wildly successful for the music you do. Your voice is heard. Your lyrics are heard.
So what you're saying is she has the impact
Yeah.
that she wants to
Yeah.
have, but nobody knows it's her.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why I think it's a pride thing, like an ego thing, and not an actual you're like I want to change people. Well, if you did that without the credit, there are many people who change people, philanthropists. They never say who they are. But your image of your success is really wholly dependent on the credit. And people, you're basically a pick-me girl, sorry.
No, I would say I'm not. No,
I
I'm
don't know if
not.
she's a pig.
Well, maybe I'm using that too loosely. I apologize.
Like
if
me
that-
more like men. I'm picking.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Sorry, I apologize.
Wait, but even in Jim Bob's question is really interesting though, because it's not necessary. Like you would still achieve all the things, but it would be anonymous. So ultimately, you want like the validation and the credit for doing so. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong for wanting credit for like
there's
achievement.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's
at
nothing
all.
wrong inherently, but in this scenario where you're being presented on a silver platter, the perfect man, not just the perfect man, but he's also a trillionaire, which essentially would like your 1,000-year dynasty is secured like forever. You're the richest woman to have ever lived. And I mean, that in and of itself would be kind of like some sort of social status or something, but okay. I'm trying to think what my fault. Oh, okay. No, I asked it. So you wouldn't give up your career for the perfect guy who's a trillionaire?
No, I wouldn't.
So you're not you wouldn't be submissive then?
Pretty much.
Why would a man that I would ever be around want for me to give up the biggest thing of my life?
Well,
For
okay.
children.
Yeah, he wants you to focus on the.
Because if
Kids
your
and children.
career, let's say you make it, isn't it the case that like a traditional man wouldn't want the mother of his children flying to city doing performances at massive stadiums and that kind of life?
But again, that's like the black and white mentality that
That's
we're
pretty
talking
black and
about.
white.
Yeah,
That's
like you
incompatible.
could still be like traditional, ask for marriage and kids, and be okay with a woman
touring
traveling and touring
and not being a mother.
No, and you
What
could
is
be
the
a mother and
tradition
still
of
tour.
not being a mother? Which tradition is that? Not being home and being a mother. What tradition is that?
You gotta pick.
I mean,
you gotta pick one.
I think her answer to here is fundamentally she wouldn't pick those men. Like probably the worst thing that's happening here is she's saying that she wants a traditional man, when really she kind of wants like a modern man who's like more masculine than he is feminine, so that she still like finds him attractive. That's like probably the reality. It's probably like a misnomer. I could be wrong, but like what you're describing to me is like what you really want is like a more modern guy in most ways. You just want him to not be soy as fuck. That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we're disputing that like there are guys who exist who date like hyper successful women. For example, like famous female musicians. They are in relationships with men, and these men tolerate to some degree the their boss babe career, whatever. I don't think we're disputing that. I think we're more so, and for example, a woman could be like the most modern, promiscuous, like 1,000 body count, whatever, all these like negative characteristics that you wouldn't typically associate with a traditional woman, and she could still like have a standard and want men to pay for first dates, which is like a traditional dynamic. And she can very well get it. I don't think anybody here disputes like, okay, you could be like the most degenerate modern woman ever and still get guys to pay for dates for you. That's not a dispute at all. We're having like sort of a bird's eye conversation about that. Well, is that a fair shake? Is that fair for the man?
Yeah,
or
I think
for men?
I think a lot of modern dating standards that are erected are essentially unfair for men. I think a lot of times there very much is this energy of like having your cake and eating it too in the reverse situation, and I think that comes from this idea of like some level of a gender opportunism where you kind of want all the things that traditionalism benefits the woman, but you don't want any of the cons that come with it. And I think when you're doing that cost analysis, then you need to like actually and look at these traditional structures and go, what value does it add to me? Why do I want this thing? And then decide if it actually means anything. Because otherwise you're kind of putting things on other people that you're not willing to.
I want to add to that there are men out there, not to like put all the sort of red pillars in one basket here, but just to generalize, is there's this trend of men who are pushing for this like traditional expectation, and they're catching the chicks in this contradiction. Oh, double standard. I would argue that a lot of those men aren't themselves submissive to something bigger, and so they're actually not consistent either. So they're expecting these women to fall in line and submit to them, and there's no paradigm that they're using.